Good evening and welcome. Let's take a look at our top story this hour. 28 years after the 16th century Babri Mosque was razed by a mob in Odisha in Uttar Pradesh, a special CBI court in Lucknow has delivered its verdict in the case. All 32 accused in the case, that included high-profile BJP leaders like Advani, Murli Manohar Joshi, Kalyan Singh and Uma Bharti, have been acquitted in the case. The court observed that the demolition was not premeditated and that the evidence against the accused was not strong enough.
अक्यूज को न्यायालय ने आज बाइज्जत बरी किया है और कोर्ट की ओपिनियन जो ओपन कोर्ट में जब जजमेंट न्यायालय दे रहा था तो उनकी ओपिनियन ये आई कि जो भी वहां लाखों कार सेवक उपस्थित हुए थे वो किसी केवल हाई कोर्ट सुप्रीम कोर्ट के निर्णय के अनुसार वहां पे उनको कार सेवा करनी थी। तो ये कोई पूर्व प्रायोजित नहीं था, एक समय वो घटना हो गई और बाकी जितने भी ये बाकी लोग वहां पे उपस्थित नेता थे, भाजपा के नेता थे, वो लोगों ने प्रयास किया था उस घटना को रोकने के लिए। दूसरी बात, सीबीआई ने जो कैसेट्स दाखिल की थी वो भी कोर्ट ने माना कि वो टेम्पर्ड थी, सील्ड बंद नहीं थी। तीसरी कोर्ट की ओपिनियन आई थी कि जो वहां पे जो पेपर्स की कटिंग्स कोर्ट सीबीआई ने दाखिल की थी उसकी कोई प्रिंट या उसका कोई बेस नहीं था कि वो कहां से आई थी। तो ये कोर्ट का ये निर्णय आया।
The court also observed that the leaders present at the site during the demolition were trying to stop the mob and not to incite them, and that stones pelting started from behind the disputed structure. Judge S.K. Yadav said that the leaders wanted to keep the structure safe because it had statues of Hindu deities. Now, most of the senior leaders among the 32 accused, such as former Deputy Prime Minister Advani and former Union Minister Murli Manohar Joshi, were not present in the Lucknow court, but marked their presence via video conference. Here's what they said after the verdict was pronounced.
लखनऊ की सीबीआई कोर्ट ने एक ऐतिहासिक निर्णय दिया है और वो निर्णय इस बात को सिद्ध करता है कि 6 दिसंबर को अयोध्या में हुई घटनाओं के लिए कोई षड्यंत्र या किसी प्रकार का ऐसा आयोजन नहीं था, वो अचानक हुआ है।
स्पेशल कोर्ट का आज का जो निर्णय हुआ है वह अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण है और हम सब के लिए बहुत खुशी का प्रसंग है। जब ये समाचार सुना, जय श्री राम कह करके हमने इसका स्वागत किया।
The CBI, which was the prosecutor in the case, produced 351 witnesses and 600 documents as evidence before the court. Charges were framed against 48 people, but 16 had died during the course of the trial. In a landmark judgment last year, the Supreme Court allotted the disputed site in Ayodhya for the construction of a Ram temple, while calling the demolition of a mosque a violation of the rule of law. For more on this, we are being joined by WION's political editor, Kartikeya Sharma. Good evening to you, Kartikeya. 28 years on, Special CBI Court in Lucknow has now delivered the verdict. All 32 have been acquitted in this case. What are the implications of this verdict?
There are a couple of important implications of the judgment which has been delivered in India today in this case. The first is that it rules out in its order that the whole event which took place way back in 1990s, in 1992, 6th of December, was premeditated. Basically, the argument was, which is part of the order, that there was no premeditation part of the leaders who were assembled there. It accepts the argument that there was a spontaneity on the part of the crowd. The court also went on to observe that the leaders who were assembled there tried to stop the mob, because they also believed that the statues which were part of the at that point of time, the disputed site would also get desecrated. And most importantly, it went on to record that the evidence submitted by the Central Bureau of Investigation was insufficient to implicate any of the leaders. Now, when we talk about big leaders, this case was about then BJP president and who went on to become the Deputy Prime Minister of India, Advani, former Union Minister Murli Manohar Joshi. who also functioned as BJP's president for some time. So it was a very high-profile case. It was about fixing responsibility on those which led to the demolition of the Babri Mosque. But now the court, in its order and its wisdom, has said that as of now, the evidence placed on board on which they had to decide was insufficient. CBI was not able to fix any responsibility. The evidence on table was not at all sufficient to pin responsibility. So I think if you look at the legal, or if you look at the legal readout of the court's order, it is very, very simple that somehow the people who were assembled there at the site, they broke the ranks and the structure came down.
Right, Kartikeya. Legally, this case has concluded. Will this continue to have political essence and sway in the future?
I would say yes, it will have a political life. The matter will go to the High Court. No such high-profile case ever in India has been resolved at the level of the Session Court. Like the previous case in which the order came, which allowed the temple committee to build now what we know as a Ram temple. The same pattern will follow. The matter will go to the upper courts, and most likely the resolution will only take place at the level of the Supreme Court. But yes, legally the story will have one life. Politically in India, it will continue to simmer for a long time because there has been no resolution in context of how the structure came down.
Kartikeya, as always, thank you very much for joining us with all the latest and that analysis there.